What the fuck have we just watched? Anthony AJ Joshua gets dropped twice in the very first round from Mr. Pringle's Kristian Prenga, and then proceeds to come out for round two. Kristian Prenga very standoffish, and he puts him to fucking sleep. A beautiful right hand to finish the fight, but we are left with so many more questions than we are answers. I mean, coming into this fight, it was when is Anthony Joshua going to stop Kristian Prenga, not if. And after the very first round, it was this isn't going to go the way we all thought it was going to go. But round two comes, championship mentality steps up, and Anthony Joshua finds the finish. But a very, very strange set of results so far this weekend. If you look back from Tyson Fury's fight against Vark, Hamza Shiraz's performance today, and Anthony Joshua against Mr. Pringles. Let's start with that round one. If you didn't watch the fight, round one, 20 seconds into the round one, they're in a clinch. Kristian Prenga throws this beautiful right uppercut on the inside and puts Anthony Joshua on the canvas. Like, it's a crisp, beautiful, sneaky uppercut that Anthony Joshua just doesn't see, puts him straight on the canvas. And you're starting to have PTSD from Daniel Dubois and what happened in that fight. And Anthony Joshua, to his credit, gets up to his feet, smiles it off, but then he hits a big right hand from Kristian Prenga that, again, he just has no answer for. It doesn't put him down, but it puts him up against the ropes, holding on for absolute dear life. And then there was a second knockdown with the last 20 seconds odd of the round. A bit softer there. There was no real punch in there. It was more of a glancing shot, back of the head, pushed down. I don't really look at it as a knockdown, but the referee did call it as a knockdown. So coming into round two, we're looking at a 10-7 round. Anthony Joshua dropped twice. One from a beautiful uppercut. That's most definitely a knockdown and would have put a lot of people to sleep. Anthony Joshua's a big dude, so he's going to be able to withstand it. But it was a good uppercut. That right hand as well that he lands that puts AJ up against the ropes is another good shot. But then we come into round two and you're thinking, all right, Kristian Prenga, you've dropped him twice. You've got the ascendancy. You know AJ, we've seen him before. Andy Ruiz, Daniel Dubois, when things get tough, when he gets dropped, you can normally find the finish on Anthony Joshua. But for whatever reason, Kristian Prenga and, his best asset in that fight, which is his power, he just didn't use. And he thought, all right, we're going to be standoffish here, which I couldn't understand. Maybe he ate a punch early in that fight, early in that second round that I missed. But for me, it just seemed very odd from Kristian Prenga. Maybe he used up all his energy in round one. I'm not sure. But Anthony Joshua gets the ascendancy in the second round, pushes him back with a good one too, like a very solid jab, right hand straight through the guard as well, and then backs it up with another left hand and that right cross that lands perfectly. It was almost top of the temple, around that eyebrow level, right in the sweet spot, and just puts Kristian Prenga to sleep through the ropes. And you knew as soon as that punch landed, Kristian Prenga was done. There was no chance of him getting up. AJ went over to celebrate. He knew the fight was over. It was a perfect punch from Anthony Joshua. But you are, once again, left with a lot of questions about Anthony Joshua. Not like it's such a weird performance because it's two rounds. One round where he looks fucking awful, man, and gets dropped twice from Mr. Pringles. And then a second round where he goes out there and looks very, very good and knocks him out. There was also a thing with his leg where he kept reaching down, sort of low thigh, low hamstring towards the knee. And he looked a little bit off balance. I don't know whether that was an injury to the leg, to the knee, whether that was a result of the knockdown, what was going on, but there was a problem there. Not a lot of movement from AJ, no defense from AJ, but he's always got that get out of jail free card, and that is that power, that is that striking ability, which we know he has. But look, it was an okay fight. For enjoyment purposes, it was very, very entertaining. You were on the edge of your seat. It didn't go for very long. You were more than thoroughly entertained. But bigger matters at hand, and that is Tyson Fury. And that's what we got to really focus on, because Tyson Fury, he fought on Friday. Not a great performance at all. All right. I've watched the highlights. I don't actually know where to source the full fight, but I've seen the highlights. And from what I saw, a very slow, labored Tyson Fury. Not a very good performance against an awful opponent, and it took him 8-odd rounds to get him out of there. Not great at all from Tyson Fury. I also take into note that I actually did before the fight say I reckon this is going to be a little bit exhibition-y. It is a charity fight at the end of the day. I wasn't expecting much, and I don't think you can base much off that. I think there's more base off AJ's performance against Kristian Prenga. Where does that leave us? Look, I would have liked to have seen Tyson Fury actually show up for this event to really make a statement, a claim that this fight is going to happen, because I'm still not convinced that we're going to say it. Eddie Hearn reckons that it's signed, sealed, and delivered. We're going to have to wait and see on that. We've heard this sort of story for the past fucking decade. So until those two step in the ring, I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. But let's say with a pinch of salt, let's say that it does happen. Tyson Fury looked like shit. AJ looked like shit. Which two, out of the two piles of shit, which shit do you prefer? And for me, it's odd because I think Tyson Fury has a lot of movement and that could just, make it a really boring fight, but he'll win on the decision. Or because of how slow and the damage that Tyson Fury's taken against Wilder, against Usyk, if AJ lands that one punch, the fight is over. So, yeah, I guess it's which way do you see it going? Do you see AJ landing that shot out of nowhere? Or do you see Tyson Fury being able to dance around the ring? Because there was, like, AJ's movement is so poor, man. We saw it against Jake Paul, even today. There's just no forward or back motion, no lateral motion. There's just nothing. It's walk in a straight line, do a little bit of a hop and a bobble, but not a lot there. None defensively, a little bit there moving forward for attack. But yeah, it's which style do you prefer? And it's do you want to see the fight in general after what you've seen this weekend? For me, I've always said the same thing. I want to see it, but we're definitely not going to see the fight we would have 10 years ago. And that is a massive shame. And you can't do anything about that. So it's now a question of, do you want to see these two guys that are definitely past their generation fight, or could you go without it? End of the day, if it's on, I'm going to watch it. But in terms of the bigger picture, if this story with AJ and Usyk is true, that they are hunting for a world title, they are hunting for undisputed, do you actually see this Anthony Joshua that you saw tonight beating any of the world champions? Look, there is some new champions, all right? There is some new champions. There is a new guard. There's a new few fighters out there. I think he does, he can probably beat a Frank Sanchez, but he could also get knocked out from Frank Sanchez. Murat Gassiev, I think he beats, providing he can land that punch, but I think he could land it. I think Murat Gassiev is a poor champion. But outside of that, I mean, he's not beating Moses Atauma. We know he's not beating Daniel Dubois. I think it's a question of would he even beat Fabio Wardley? I don't think that's a guarantee. So, in terms of future projections of being an undisputed champion, I saw nothing tonight. Actually, I had more confidence in becoming undisputed not seeing him tonight than I did before. I thought, you know what, working with Usyk, new stuff going on. I think AJ could make a run. And then I saw it tonight and said, you got fucking knocked down in the first round from fucking Mr. Pringles. Not convinced. Not convinced in any way, shape, or form. And I was a little bit. Look, I don't want to be too harsh on AJ. AJ has gone through a lot in the past 12 months, and I think you got to recognize that. You could see the emotion when he spoke after this fight. Like, this guy is still dealing with a whole lot of grief and a whole lot of pain. And unfortunately, nobody can do anything about that. Unfortunate events that happened for AJ, and condolences to him and his friends and everything else. But at the end of the day, this is the fight game, and all of that stuff will impact how you fight in the ring. And I think we did see a little bit of that impact tonight. I think we saw the impact of him being dropped, but I also think we saw the impact of it, giving him that sort of mentality and that strength to get up off the canvas and keep pushing forward despite, the first round not going your way. So, look, big 12 months from AJ tonight. It wasn't great, but he gets the job done, gets a knockout finish. He's going to be able to sell a fight against Tyson Fury if we ever see it. But yeah, a lot more questions than answers. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments. Also, quickly, other results. Josh Kelly, good 6 rounds at the start of the fight, fell asleep in the back end of it, but nudges the victory against Keegan Njarko. Keegan Njarko started way too slow. If he brought that intensity that he did in the second half of that fight, I think Keegan Njarko might have actually got it. Josh Kelly looks good when he's able to, like these fighters, a bit like Conor McGregor, these fast twitch fighters that they look so good for the first few rounds, but as the fight goes on and they start to tire, you start to see the other guy really gain ascendancy. That's what I see from Josh Kelly. We saw it against Barkram. When he's moving and he's feeling good and he's got these quick punches going, he's really, really good to watch. And then he starts to slow down and it starts to get a little bit labored. But he gets the win. I don't see him beating any of the other champions. I think there's people in this division that aren't champions that can beat Josh Kelly, but that's time for another. That talk is for another time. Hamza Shiraz. We're going to make a separate video on him because he looked fucking shocking. I mean, he came out looking like, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, ready to take on Roberto Duran and knock the guy out in 3 rounds. And then all of a sudden we saw whatever that was. I don't even know what that was from Hamza Shiraz. He looked like he thought it was just going to happen magically. and then didn't 12 rounds had gone past, nothing really happened. I think he landed like 15 jabs or some shit. So that is another talk that we're going to make a separate video talking about Hamza Shiraz, because that was my biggest disappointment. Jakob Bank looked good, but I think Jakob Bank should have been the guy in there with Hamza Shiraz tonight instead of Simon, Zach, and Hooper. But we got what we got. I'm going now, heading off to the Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu fight. I got media access for that fight, but probably won't be doing any media because it sounds like it's going to be run like absolute dog water. Might be a post-fight press conference, but if not, I'll make my post-fight reaction. That's realistically what I'm planning on making. But I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for Errol Spence. AJ, I think we're in limbo. Guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like, subscribe. I'm out here, guys. See ya.